man whose name commands respect in both the corridors of power and the classrooms of academia. 7. As a secretary and legal counsel to former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he became the youngest person ever to hold that office, cementing his place in Ghana's political and legal history. We'll talk about his imprint because it runs deep, from crafting the legislative instruments that guided Ghana through the storm of COVID-19, and contributing to one of the country's most defining reforms, the creation of 6 new regions. Tonight, the story will be told. But here's a man who was born into a legacy of excellence. He's the son of Professor Kow Essuman, chairman of WAEC, and a former presidential advisor, and Professor Sally Essuman, both renowned educationists. They raised him in a home anchored in discipline, intellect, and faith. It is this foundation that molded a man of deep conviction and enduring service. Tonight, we're celebrating this great man who, from the halls of Prempeh College through to Holborn College in London, where he was named Best Student, his academic journey has been nothing short of exceptional, if you ask me, and many people out there, of course. He went on to earn his LLB from the University of Westminster and Masters in International Mergers and Acquisitions and Financial Institutions from Cornell Law School in New York. Profile with this. That's the man. Called to the Bar of England and Wales, admitted as an attorney in New York, and a proud member of the Ghana Bar. His legal career has transcended borders and bridged 3 jurisdictions. So you know, that's a great bar. After successful stints at top law firms abroad, he returned home to serve. First at Randolph Chambers, moved on to Benson Enchil, Lecha and Ankuma, where his courtroom brilliance earned him the title Rising Advocate from a Justice of the Supreme Court. But his brilliance extends far beyond litigation. As a lecturer in trust law and advocacy at the Ghana Law School, he has shaped young legal minds with the same passion that drives his public service. I dare talk about leadership and vision. He's been recognized globally, named a global shaper by the World Economic Forum, and in 2023, honored as one of the young global minds, yes, leaders of the World Economic Forum. Tonight, we're celebrating a man who's joined an elite circle of change makers, rewriting Africa's story. His service at the presidency strengthened the office's legal advisory systems and a whole lot more. Talk about mentorship work. We'll talk about being the influential young Ghanaian in 2017. Look, I could go on and on and on. But at the core of all of this, he remains a man of faith, devoted to God, to family, and to the Ghanaian dream. We welcome him onto Star Chat tonight. Kow Abaka Essuman, lawyer, lecturer, reformist, and a believer in purposeful leadership. Tonight, I can tell you for a fact, there's a conversation about conviction, calling, and courage. Welcome, Kow.
Thank you very much, Bola.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm well. As well as I can be.
As well as you can be, right? Tonight, we're celebrating you. A story of true power, indeed. I know, quiet confidence. And that's how you would like to operate. But we're celebrating you tonight from your early beginnings to becoming a trusted legal advisor to a sitting president. And tonight, you take your turn on Star Chat. Once again, welcome, Kow.
Thank you very much, Bola.
Right. So we're live here on Starr 103.5 FM in Accra. Also in Sekondi, Takoradi on Empire 102.7 FM. In Kumasi, it is Ultimate 106.9. And Star Chat is probably brought to you by MTN and, of course, Johnny Walker and Starr Assurance. So, Kow, fill us in. How have you been?
I have been well. And the last few months have seen me, resting a bit and also, spending more time with my family and, traveling a bit, getting to see the world. And,
Starr 103.5 FM.
taking a break and also trying to get my my health back in good shape.
Oh, really? Why? You had some health issues because you were working back to back and all of that?
Yes, you know that.
It took a toll on you.
It does take a toll on you, and it did take a toll on some of us. And, you know, the sacrifices that we had to make to make sure that this country went in the direction that it was supposed to go.
So how's life, you know, out of Jubilee House like? Fill us in.
It's more relaxing.
Oh, it's more relaxing.
It's more relaxing. You don't have the pressures of government on your shoulders and on your head, and you're more relaxed in your daily life and daily affairs. So I think,
do you miss the Jubilee House? And be sincere with us.
Sometimes I think about it and I miss it. Yeah.
Share with us, ever been a day where you woke up and like, okay, you thought like you were going to the office, and did it happen to you the
initial
few days,
few weeks actually?
Oh, few weeks.
You'd wake up and you're like, okay, well, I need to, and then you realize that no.
You're no more in power.
No more in power. You drive past the Jubilee House and you see it. You're like, oh, my office used to be right up there in the corner. Yeah, so I mean, for the first few weeks, it felt like, you know, like, what am I going to do? And I decided to take a break, and then, you know, one thing has led to another. Yeah, and it's been relaxing. It's been relaxing.
I can tell.
Yeah.
You look fresh. You look, you know, all good, and that's how you want it. So yeah, you're enjoying life.
Yes.
Interesting. Yes. We'll talk about maybe everything and anything, the comeback for 2028, whether you feel it's feasible, doable, and, you know, all in between. But congratulations on completing the World Economic Forum's, you know, rigorous 3-year Young Global Leaders program. Could you share some of the most impactful lessons or experiences with us?
Yes. So the World Economic Forum's program for Young Global Leaders, it's a very sort of educative, insightful, and global program. You know, there are different kinds of modules that you have to take within a 3-year period. For me, because of the time that I didn't have working with the president, there are times that you schedule maybe an education module or a learning module, but you can't attend because of one thing or another. But the two that really stood out for me, the first had to do with a learning module in Washington, D.C. You know, we gathered in Washington, D.C. to see how Washington, D.C. works. So we're looking at, you know, we had visits to Congress, speaking with congressmen, senators, with lobbyists in Washington, D.C., with pollsters, with think tanks, you know, with embassies, and, you know, and essentially getting to know how D.C. works, you know, and that was very insightful because I could relate it back to my work in Ghana.
Okay.
You know, being in government and seeing how, you know, government works in another country, some of the best practices that you can borrow and apply to your own work here in Ghana. And the second part of the program that I found very insightful actually happened after after we had left office.
Okay.
And that was the Harvard module. So you spend a couple of weeks at Harvard with all these super CEOs and, you know, big people. Sometimes you feel like you're inadequate.
Wow.
But then you realize that they actually also look up to you because of your profile. And it was a very brilliant opportunity. I got to learn a lot about decision making and thinking critically, right, and, you know, how to get to the right decision and, you know, make the right decision and all that. And more importantly was how
Starr
I realized that even
FM.
Those of us who are like high achievers have vulnerabilities, and how we can be vulnerable before each other and share each other's weakest moments and learn from each other and encourage each other to move on. And for me, that, you know, those are the two highlights of the program.
Interesting. I know a lot of the youth listening will say that, look, what an impactful program YGL is and all of that. And for us, it's also insightful that you pursuing something great to reflect your commitment to impactful leadership, and I think that that's a plus out there, because it's all about leaders doing something to create a positive change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you believe that Ghana is on that right path for that in terms of governance and all?
I think that we are, generally speaking. Generally speaking, we are. That is because a lot of people are becoming enlightened. People are paying attention to what people are doing in government. When you mess up in government, they talk about it. And the various avenues for conversation make it easy for citizens to be able to participate in the governance process, for them to be able to hold their government accountable. So I think that we're on the right path in that direction, generally speaking. Of course, there's a lot that can be done that can make our governance better. And when you ask what I've been doing since we left office, one of the things I've been doing is writing a book.
Oh, so you're writing a book?
Yes,
okay.
I am. Writing a book about governance and law, bringing into sort of bringing people into the presidency space and how we applied the law, how we had to take certain decisions, how, like you mentioned, the COVID, times, why certain decisions had to be taken, for people to see how the law actually works from the perspective of a president and the presidency. So hopefully the book, comes out.
When are you launching that? Maybe give us that scoop.
I'm still writing it.
But we're giving ourselves before the end of the year, or you think it will go into 2026?
Well, it depends on what my publishers, I'm saying. But those who have reviewed it so far have really given some really good comments. To the extent that they feel that maybe you're actually in the presidency, taking the decisions with the presidency, and seeing how the laws and the constitution actually works.
Interesting. And it's on record, the youngest, presidential legal counsel. How was it like? Tell us exclusively. How did you get the news? The president called you. Was it a mail? Was it through somebody? And how did you feel, Kow Essuman?
So he had asked me to come and see him in the office after the swearing in. Prior to that, I'd been working with him on the side, and so when I walked into the office, if you remember, Asenso Wache was there, and Eugene Ahin was also there. And so when I walked in, the first thing he said to me was like, Eko, I want you to be my legal counsel.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Wow.
And then I responded and said, Mr. President, I serve at your pleasure.
Wow. And you were how old then?
I was 31 years old.
31. So you didn't ask him questions to say, well, Mr. President, why me of all the people? And did you get into that conversation? Did he also tell you why?
Well, when you're young like that and the president asks you to be his legal counsel to look at his documents before he signs, the first thing that comes to your mind is like, wow, this is amazing. You don't think about the enormity of the work. So after I left his office and I started work, and I realized that, man, what have I done? Because it was a huge responsibility. One, because he himself was a lawyer. And he's been one of, I would say, the most accomplished lawyer in this country. If we look
Starr
at
103.5
former President Nana Akufo-Addo is the most accomplished lawyer in Ghana, hands down. If you take all the constitutional law cases where our rights have been guaranteed, by the Supreme Court, by the cases for an Attorney General means an Attorney General, his name is there. He did those cases. And those cases are consistently cited in every constitutional law case. If that is not accomplishment, then what is it? So then you're working with this man, and you have to be on top of your game. And this is me. I've come from abroad. Of course, I practiced, in Ghana for a while, in the courts and all of that, but mostly in corporate and commercial law at BNTHL. And so you end up here and you have to really know the constitutional law and know things. But what I realized, I got thrown in the deep end because you're asked questions, for instance, how is this person going to be appointed? What are the laws that come into play, and so on and so forth? And then you have to do a lot of research. Were you petrified at the beginning? Were you afraid?
I was, I would say, overwhelmed.
To
some extent, the imposter syndrome kicked in. To a large extent, of course. I didn't think I was capable. I started looking around for sort of material that could help me to be able to come up to speed. I was looking for books. I turned to the United States because they have a White House counsel. So I turned to the United States to look, and I found a book that was written by, I think, a deputy legal counsel at some point in time, during maybe Lyndon Johnson's time. And, he gave a lot of advice. But one thing that stuck with me was be sure to have the first drafts because then you'll be able to direct what is happening.
Was there ever a time, Kow, and share this with us, that the president, so maybe you were overwhelmed or you were afraid at a point, and maybe said, look, young man, you can do this?
You see, President Akufo-Addo was more of a teacher. So in a way, I'd say the fourth floor of the presidency was more like chambers. So we we do a lot of the day-to-day stuff. There's a lot of meetings that go on, and that ends about maybe about 7 p.m. and he works late into the night. So after,
former president will work late into the night, like
yes.
till what time? Share with us. You were with him.
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Sometimes I leave him in the office. Wow. Midnight.
And he's back the next morning.
He's back the next morning. And I mean, and the truth of the matter is that it's at night time that we actually work, because during the day he's attending programs, he's having meetings and so on and so forth. And so we don't have the opportunity to, sit down and work. Once in a while, you catch a window within the day and you'll be able to get him to maybe sign a document or review a letter. And he reviews every letter that he writes. He makes corrections. As I said, it's like chambers, right? So he makes all these corrections with his handwriting. Some of it you wouldn't be able to see, and you have to go back to him and ask him, Mr. President, what did you say here? And so we work late in the night, reviews upon reviews, and then you have to get the document signed because by morning it has to go. So he taught me a lot, and he was more like a pupil master, I would say. I remember one of the first times he asked me to write. I think we were writing a speech for something, and he asked me so I'd done my research. I had my papers in front of me, and he asked me the names of all the chief justices who had been in Ghana. I mean, the chief justice of Ghana. And he asked me the number of them and whatever. And I had the papers. I had it on my paper. And then he started calling them out one by one after the other, off the top of his head. And at that time, I hadn't found the paper that the names were. So I immediately put it up, and then I had can you go over it again? And he said, okay, you want me to? I said, yes. Then he starts he mentions each and every one from 19 Sayako Kosa up until the recent one at the time, which I think was Georgina Wood.
Okay.
And then I stood there, I was looking at him, I said, Mr. President, how do you remember all these names? You know what he said to me? I read a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a moment indeed. I mean, you were the president and he was able to recall.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time, maybe share with us a decision that you took, because you've been involved in a lot, I mean, through the storm of COVID-19, the pandemic and all of that, but any decision that you took or you advised, and on hindsight you look back and you said, well, this could have been done better, or handled in another way?
So anytime we worked, what the president usually would say to me, because I did a lot of the drafting and stuff like that, so he'd say to me that whatever we're doing is not for today. We need to be able to make sure that what we're doing 30 years from now, 20 years from now, when people come back and they look at this document, it will be able to tell them why we were taking the decision we're taking at this particular point in time. So, for instance, templates or precedents that we'll have will get better every year up until the last year that we had to leave. So the precedents, we bettered it up until the last time. So the time, obviously, you look back, but he always had this thing about Monday morning quarterbacks. Story that he used to tell us that in George Bush's time, he used to make reference to what a Monday morning quarterback was, i.e., during the weekend, you're not able to call certain plays, but on Monday morning when you review the plays, you know that, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done that.
Right.
So we should try as much as possible in the moment to take the very best decision, given the factors that we're faced with, given the interest that we're faced with, and so that we don't have any regrets. But obviously, we're human, so
that's right.
The things
so any regrets, and be sincere with us, be candid. Any of them that you now look back and you feel that, look, Bola, I could have done this in a better way or another way.
Oh, I mean, there are a
maybe
number
two
of them.
Yes,
there are a number of them. But the ones that I'd say will relate to. So we set up the legal department at the office of the president, and if I hadn't some more time, I would have loved to review certain laws. For instance, the law that relates to the presidency. There's a Presidential Office Act. Given our time, the experiences that we had, I would have loved to be able to, propose some.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to start something, but I didn't just have the time.
Like what? Like things like what?
Oh no! For instance, how the presidency works. So that law was passed in 1993, and it hasn't been amended or whatever since then. But there's a lot that has happened. There are a number of laws that have been passed since then. Things to do with transition, things to do with the various departments in the office, things to do with the directorates. If you had a comprehensive law that governed the presidential office, it would make things smoother.
So that is one. The second one will be what?
I'll have to take a real check on the second one.
You'd want to.
Yeah.
Granted. But you recently urged President Mahama to release the full committee report on the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. Could you explain why you believe, that transparency in this matter is constitutionally necessary?
So transparency at the highest level of government is very important. It's very critical. And I made that call on President Mahama because I felt that, not that I felt, the process had come to an end. And once the process had come to an end, the Supreme Court had made it clear that the constitutional injunction had been lifted. In the case of Derry and Tiger IPI. So once the constitutional injunction had been lifted, there was no need to keep the documents to yourself. I mean, there's nothing else that is left to be done. There's nothing in camera anymore. So you need to let, for instance, the petitioner know exactly what went down. You need to let the person that was affected know what went down so that if they have to take any remedial steps or any further action, they can take it. And also for education purposes for the country, all these while you realize that most of the things that were done in terms of the removal of maybe Chief Justice or Justice of Superior Courts, the documentation never came out. But when Akufo-Addo was president, anytime he made a prima facie determination, it was published. It was published in the media. The petitioner got a copy of it. And so to enable people to know, okay, so maybe if I'm going to send a petition to the president, this is how it's supposed to look like. This is the kind of evidence I need to attach. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to say. These are the arguments I need to put forth to be able to make my case stronger. It is important for, it to be put out. And also for the sake of governance, students of governance, for us to know exactly, what the processes were. I talk about some of that in my book, some of the processes,
okay.
Because I feel that at the very highest level, the people need to be able to know and have an insight into how the processes, work.
Okay. So for you, public education and also, like you're saying, for governance, for people to also know, for students as well, to be abreast with that.
Absolutely.
So you stand by that, and you feel that it is something that the president should.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he would, because it's also good for his image.
But how do you then respond to people who feel that, well, in all of this, the issue of transparency maybe is for partisan gain?
What is for partisan gain?
Like, there are some political actors who may use that for partisan gain. So you're saying, okay, there should be transparency. Let's release the report and all of that. People feel that, well, also when people get to know, depending on the sides, it's needless. Maybe you don't need that. But
it's a legal matter.
Yeah.
It's a legal matter. I mean, processes that happen in courts, there's a reason why processes that happen in courts.
After they will get to,
Not even after, during.
Okay.
It's public. You can sit in a public, you can write to the registrar of the court for a copy of the judgment, for a copy of the record of proceedings, for you to know exactly what went on, so that you would know maybe if you're building a case, this is how you're going to build a case. Same way, the Constitution put an injunction on the entire process, or knowing about it, even from the petition up until the determination, saying that none of those proceedings can be made public. It's
Correct.
only the president and those who are involved in the process that need to see the petition and the proceedings. But the Supreme Court said that once that exercise is completed, that constitutional injunction is lifted.
Okay.
And once the constitutional injunction is lifted, you have to put the documents out.
So you're expecting the president to do that any moment?
I'm hoping, because he's a Democrat, and these are some of the tenets that show what democracy. He has nothing to lose. At the very best, he set up a committee, and the committee looked into the matter. He wasn't a member of the committee. He had no option when it came to acting on the recommendation of the committee. The Constitution binds him, so there's nothing for him to lose. It's the work of the committee that will come into the public domain. And if the committee did a very good job, they should be happy to put it out. And if the committee did a good job and it's taken up to the Supreme Court or to the courts for scrutiny,
right,
and it stands the scrutiny, then we know they did a good job.
Interesting. Let's talk about the issue of galamsey then. I mean, as a governance, person, legal scholar, your party was in power. Galamsey was a big issue. It is now. Government says it's fighting it and it's out there. As a young global leader, and let's take politics out of this. Policymakers, civil society, citizens, how can we create a safer and more stable Ghana moving forward? People have asked for a state of emergency. You think that is necessary?
Absolutely. Galamsey is one of the things that when we were in government, people made. There was a lot of calls, for our government to take action. And in fact, if you remember, President Akufo-Addo, when he assumed the reins of power, said that he was putting his presidency on the line.
Correct.
And indeed, he did put his presidency on the line, because in 2020, after he had taken certain actions, it cost him. So it's something that we have to really deal with as a country. We cannot play politics with it, and we kept saying it when we were in government, that galamsey is not an issue that you play politics with. And so I'm not surprised that the current government is facing the kind of pressure that it's facing. We need to treat it as a national matter. Mining has been with us for many years. It's one, if not our biggest, foreign exchange earner in this country. It's very critical to our economy. We cannot do without it. And there are people who are doing responsible small-scale mining. I know, small-scale firms that are doing responsible small-scale mining.
So where are we getting it wrong? I mean, from where you sit, you've been with the president. You've seen reports. There was a Frimpong Boateng report and all of that. I believe you've cited that and all that has happened. What do you know? What really is the issue? And what did the president tell you, the then president tell you?
Some of those conversations are quite confidential and covered by executive privilege.
Right.
Except to say that, what was out there as the Frimpong Boateng report was really no report.
Really?
Oh, yes.
What was out there as Frimpong Boateng?
It was no report.
How so?
It was no report. So if my memory serves me right, he wrote down what he thought were some of the ways that we could deal with galamsey.
Indeed.
And he handed it over, to the presidency at the time. And that I don't
so it
know
wasn't
how,
backed by any.
I don't know how that for instance, maybe Bola, you have a conversation with me and you say, okay, Kow, let me know what your ideas are on this matter, and then you put it down and send it to me, and I send it to you or whatever, and at the end of the day, that comes out and
Kow,
everyone
you stand by this. You're saying that he wasn't commissioned to do anything, or didn't investigate or research.
Did you see a letter of commissioning?
No, but certainly because he was the minister also in charge of that, maybe he issued a report or submitted a report to the president.
The document you saw, was it a report? When we talk about a report, was it a report? That
So it was his idea.
His idea. Yes. And you can't take it away from him. I mean, he was right in the thick of things, so he had ideas as to what needed to be done, and so he gave his ideas, and then that was it. You
were with the president then. You're saying that he thought it wasn't grounded in why didn't maybe the president, okay, these are your ideas, maybe we can implement. What was it?
Oh, so like I said, the conversation around those things are covered by privilege.
That's right.
And so I can't, speak to it. But what I was saying was that, that document that was publicly, continuously called the Frimpong Boateng report was not a report. Yes.
Okay. So now we'll come to you for your ideas as well, from where you sat and all of that. How can we deal with this issue? if there was a willingness by your government then to deal with it, what was the roadmap? What was it?
So the first thing I said was that we need to depoliticize it, you know, because it doesn't help any of us. If one party is, or one group of people are saying this is the way we need to go, you know, and another group think that, okay, for political gain, this is how we should speak about it, you know, we're not going to make any progress because we're all going to be at each other's throats. My understanding is that this issue cuts across many countries in the West African region. There needs to be a global conversation. How are we going to be able to treat our water bodies? How are we going to be able to preserve our forest areas? What are some of the strategies that we can come together to do that? And critical to that is enforcement. But then again, there's also the issue of jobs in those areas. Right. You know, the young men think, you know, they make gold. I mean, they're able to mine gold or certain minerals and are able to go and sell it and make money quickly because they don't have jobs and so on and so forth. I know there are programs to have alternative livelihoods and so on and so forth, but we need to critically look at all these things and we've got to find a way, because otherwise it continues to create an existential threat.
Yes. Interesting how you bring this up, and you also feel that, look, there should be a national consensus of a way. Let's have parties said maybe we should have a committee, but there's also the coalition for galamsey. I know there's Ken Ashigbe and his group and all of that. Yeah. You believe that we should depoliticize this. Government alone cannot fight galamsey.
That is the truth of the matter, you know, and if the government is very honest about it and accepts the mistakes that they did, i.e. that, you know, they called upon, you know, our government at the time.
Yes. So you are talking about the MPP government. Yeah, MPP so they made mistakes in fighting galamsey.
Not the MPP government making mistakes. I'm saying the current government. Politicized the fight against galamsey
during your time.
So if they're bold enough to accept the mistakes, i.e. the politicization of the issue of galamsey, then they'll be able to bring people on board to be able to help them, you know, to fight it. Because obviously, having been in government for 8 years, there were certain things that we came across or strategies that we picked up that worked, and there were others that didn't work. So there's no need to really reinvent the wheel. You know, we got to a certain point, and you know, they have to own up. You know, if you're going to be having conversations with civil society and so on and so forth, without actually speaking to those who had actually been working on a strategy.
From where you sit, Kow Essuman, you believe that your government did better in fighting galamsey
at this particular point in time?
Yes, as you have said, from 9 months into, the MPP did better.
They did.
But now there's NIMOs, there's Blue Water Guards, they're out there. You feel they're not doing enough and they're not fighting this?
If they were, we wouldn't have the noise that is we currently have in the public space regarding galamsey.
So you also believe that, yes, state of emergency, but people have expressed security concerns, you know, reportedly based on advice from the national security.
But a state of emergency was their call. They called for it.
And now they are in power.
They have the power, so they can call the state of emergency. When we had the power, you know, they called for it and said that we have all the power in the world, or, I mean, in the country. If today we want to stop galamsey, it will end. Now they are in power. They have the power. They have the national security. They have the soldiers. They have the police. They can end galamsey today. Just using their words.
So, on a personal note, what moment or image has struck you the most about the devastation, you know, caused by galamsey? What is it that you've seen or witnessed and you feel, look, now this is just
when you travel to Takrade on the plane, when you look out the window, you see, I call it Milo, flowing through the country. Milo with ideal.
Water is brown.
It's brown, and that is so heartbreaking. When you drive through Chebi, you know, even at night time, by the roadsides, you can see them coming out from the bushes and the forest in their Wellington boots.
Really?
Yes.
It's happening now?
It is happening. 2 weeks ago, I was coming back from Kumasi. I drove through Chebi because there was a problem on the main road, and you see it. You see it.
So you believe that it's going to be a tough fight, and we're not going to win the fight against galamsey?
It's tough, but there's nothing insurmountable. We can overcome it. We can overcome it. Like I said, if we depoliticize,
we need a military in there. If
we depoliticize it, we ask for help. We bring everybody on board. How can we solve this problem once and for all? It can be solved. There's technology for cleaning, these water bodies. China and some of these.
So why didn't you do it on your time?
Oh, we started.
Oh, you brought in.
That's why I said that. If there's no need to reinvent the wheel, because we started and we got to a certain point.
So you were on it and you got to a certain point.
Absolutely.
Are you saying that the NDC government is taking us back now? They are not following through what you...
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know whether they talk to the former government, because there's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's technology and, things that can clean up the water, and technology in rehabilitating or reclaiming the lands that have been lost. And so there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If they have the conversation, they bring everybody on board without the need. I mean, it's like running a business. A new CEO comes into the office and doesn't want to take handing over notes or work with the handing over notes from the previous CEO. How is he going to go forward? He's only going to come up with new strategies which may have already been contained in the handing over notes of the CEO.
Interesting. With time reading some 15 minutes to 8. Kow Abaka Essuman is our guest right here, and a message came in. It says, Bola, I'm interested to find out how you worked on the COVID-19 pandemic, issues and all of the reforms, and also he was instrumental in drafting laws that allowed restrictions to protect citizens. How was that like? That was a difficult period, 2020.
COVID was a very, very difficult period.
How do you guys manage to contain it, and with all the laws that you had to draft, on restrictions, people should not do that?
For COVID, I think that was when I actually saw Akufo-Addo's leadership. He demonstrated so much leadership. It was almost as if he was fighting a war. And he was a general. And he took it so personally. And, he was so concerned about the ordinary Ghanaian. And every decision that he was taking during the COVID period he had the ordinary Ghanaian in mind. I remember, when there were so many calls, we have to lock down the country, One of the reasons why the lockdown delayed was because he was concerned about the effect of the ordinary Ghanaian. Because most of us probably in the middle class and the upper middle class and so on and so forth, have refrigerators in our homes, we have very good amenities and so on and so forth. But these people, the ordinary Ghanaian, those who don't have all these things in their houses, how are they going to be able to cope when you lock down a country? And I remember one of the times when we were advising him about that, he was yelling at us that you guys you can buy food and store it, you can order food from restaurants and co. These people have to queue and buy wachi and buy kenke and buy cocoa in the morning. They don't have the luxury of these things that you guys have in your homes. So when you say lock down this, lock this down, lock down there, what are they going to do?
So there were times that you had to go back and forth and you're asking questions why you want to do that, Mr. President. And you
for him, he and I, for instance, we did that a lot. I mean, because he's the kind of person that he wants you to be satisfied, or you must satisfy yourself in what you're doing. You must believe in what you're doing. You must have conviction in what you're doing, and so he would want you to bring out the best. So he asks you, what, this thing that you're doing, have you satisfied yourself? Are you convinced? Are you, do you believe that this is the right way to go? And when you're convinced, and then he'll be convinced, but you have arguments back and forth with you, right. Sometimes about the law.
Okay.
And we can stay up and argue about the law and talk about it for a while. A few times you said to me that, I argued all these constitutional cases. You can't teach me nothing.
Interesting scenarios there, but certainly, balancing public health needs with individual freedoms. I know that it was a tough one.
It was a tough one, especially at that time there were no specific laws, and I know people kept saying that there were laws to do, but the way
so you drafted all the
we had had to put together the Imposition of Restrictions Act. I worked very closely with the Attorney General's department at that time, and I think it was my auntie Gloria Kufu, who has been on your show before.
That's right. Yes.
And her drafting people in the legislative drafting department. Sleepless nights. COVID was, very. The period gave us very sleepless nights. We had to stay up, make sure that Parliament. If you remember, Parliament also used to sit very late into the night.
Correct.
Everybody put their shoulder to the wheel on that because. We all feared what it would have, the impact it would have on our people and the livelihood of our people.
But with that also came a lot of funds, and people are saying the Auditor General's report has come out to say that, look, some misappropriation of the COVID funds and all of that. Any response to that?
I mean, the Auditor General will have to do his audits and, would have to make all kinds of findings and so on and so forth. And he has to do what he has to do, and I think that Parliament and the bodies that were responsible for following up on that did the follow-ups, and I think the matters came to a very a conclusion. So they had to do their work, and that is why they're paid. That is why they're set up.
No, but those are the findings, and of course there are some recommendations, and just like with any audit report.
Yes, but I'm saying if there were misappropriations and so on and so forth that people have said,
yes.
There are steps that need to be taken with respect to that.
Okay,
that need to be taken with respect to those misappropriations and so on and so forth, right? And if those steps, none of those have been taken, perhaps the evidence to support those allegations and conversations
are weak,
may not have existed.
Oh, so you're pushing it to the wall that clearly, if there was, then something
should have given. Perhaps maybe it's in the pipeline. I don't know.
Wow. So yes, we talked about how you balance public, health needs with individual freedoms and all of that. You also worked closely with the President and the Attorney General at the time. How did those relationships shape your professional growth? Because a lot of the youth are texting, they are sending in, on X questions for you, and many are proud of you as well. Young as you were out there being called by the President to be the Presidential Legal Counsel. How has those relationships shaped your personal or professional growth?
I think it has done a lot for me in terms of shaping my professional growth. Before I took the office, my boss, the late Kojo Bentiencho, when I told him what the role was, he said to me that how is that different from the role of the Attorney General? And I explained to him what I thought the role was going to be. Then what he said to me? He said, you have an opportunity to actually strengthen the link between the presidency and the Attorney General.
Wow.
And so I had that at the back of my mind in all my dealings at the presidency, and I worked very well with both Auntie Gloria and then Godfrey Dame, who is also very close to my brother.
Hand to heart, you believe that you achieved that and you did that excellently.
Hence, I have very good relationship with them even afterwards.
Okay.
I remember, when my second child was born, we were actually in the labor room, and Auntie Gloria called me. It was during the COVID time, actually. And she was asking me about one of the instruments that we had issued, and I was walking her through it. And I said, and I call Wayne. And so Auntie Gloria, labor ward. So to this day, she always asks me how is the little girl that was born around that time.
You feel proud serving your nation.
Oh, absolutely. And I learned a lot from the people. That's one thing that I have gained. I sometimes say I went to the University of Governance in Ghana, learning under no better person than President Akufo-Addo and all the people that he had, working with Godfrey Dame, a very astute lawyer himself, excellent chap, within my generation, so we were able to get along very well.
Very well.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
You've often spoken about faith and family. I believe that it has a page in your book or some pointers as well. But how central, related as these have been your personal and professional journey, they've really, it's been central, right?
Yes. Bola, without faith, you can do nothing.
Correct.
That is the bottom line. And I'm a man of faith, faith as an action, verb or whatever. because it is, in a political setting, a young man,
yes,
you need a lot of wisdom. You need a lot of guidance, and it's only the Holy Spirit that can give you that. So there are times when I'm walking into a meeting, I'm just saying a prayer, I'm asking God to give me guidance, drop, nuggets of wisdom in my head. And there are times when an idea comes to you, you wouldn't have contemplated it at all or wouldn't have thought about it. But then, in a way, when you go into the meeting, the idea comes, you push it, and it finds favor.
Wow.
And that's one of the prayers that I always prayed about. I prayed for humility, I prayed for wisdom, and I prayed for favor.
That's right.
The rest of it comes. But then when you walk by faith, you can believe that God will always walk with you and will always show up.
And was this part of faith you say that, helped you when you were called to the Bar of England and Wales, admitted as an attorney in New York, and later to the Ghana Bar?
Yes.
Extraordinary feat.
Yes.
You look back and at that young age, achieving all of this, what motivated you? Actually, motivated you, Kow, to pursue such a global legal path?
To be honest,
so now it's the UK, now it's the US and Ghana.
To tell you the truth,
yes.
There wasn't anything in particular.
Nothing in particular.
all of it was more, I would say, circumstantial. I found myself in certain circumstances, okay. And I didn't, But that is the thing about when God is directing your life.
Correct.
You really have to just follow whatever is happening, and you don't force it. For instance, in England, when I became a barrister, when I went to bar school, for instance, the first semester, I always tell the story, and it's so funny that I got into the class in bar school, and you have all these students from Oxford and from Cambridge. They're speaking like they're in a Harry Potter movie. And the English is so crisp, like, the Queen's language.
Right.
And the teacher gives you, the lecturer gives you readings, 50 pages, 70 pages. You come to class, and these guys have read the thing, and have read even other material, and then they're rattling off and you're wondering, how am I going to succeed in this place? Ghana boy with a Ghana accent.
The guy from Prempeh College.
I'm telling you, but not a cabrofo.
Right.
Yeah, but after a while you get a hang of things, and trust me, the education we get in Ghana is excellent.
Top notch.
I'm telling you, Bola.
Okay. Oh wow.
After a while, when I picked up, now nothing happens.
High flying.
Nothing happens in the class without Kow Essuman's opinion.
Really?
I have to do. The lecturer say, "Oh, Kow, what do you think?" And when you're speaking, everybody's quiet because they want to hear what you're saying.
And it's continued to this day because you were once described by a Supreme Court justice as a rising advocate.
Yes.
What moment in court do you believe earned you that recognition? What was it? Yes.
That was a case that we had to do. One of the big, mining firms in Ghana.
Okay.
They had a dispute, and we ended up in the Supreme Court with. I had Ace was my senior at the time, and then we turned up. So they filed the process. We'd gone through the High Court. The court, we lost in the High Court, got to the Court of Appeal, we won, and then they went to the Supreme Court. So when we got to the Supreme Court, they were asking for leave to come to the Supreme Court with their case, and then I went to Ace and I said to him that, that's
Ace Ankuma.
Ace Ankuma.
Okay.
That I found this case that we can use to support. And he said initially he wasn't so convinced, but he was like, you know what, let's go and try. There's no harm in it. Now the day Ace was going to argue the case, because I'm the junior, right?
Correct.
So the day that we were supposed to go to court, Ace traveled. So we go to court, and then it's adjourned. The next day, a very, very senior lawyer in this country, we go again. On adjourned day, I think Ace had traveled again. So the third agenda he had traveled, he was like, you Kow, if you go, just move the motion. The morning I came to work very early, and I couldn't remember any prayer. I just started saying the Lord's Prayer. I said the Lord's Prayer all the way to court. And my junior...
While in the car heading to court, it was a Lord's Prayer.
The Lord's Prayer. When we sat down, the Lord's Prayer, the first case to be called, the senior got up, he argued, and I said I whispered to my junior, in that you...
Wow.
So I get up, and then Atacha was there, and I started, arguing. And as I was arguing in that moment, there's something that they taught us in the UK that when you're going to court, you must have a skeleton argument. So I had a skeleton argument in front of me. I had prepared it. And I started arguing. When I started arguing, I remember the point that he had made. At that point, I said to my junior that then I remember that point, and I sought to address it. I didn't know how I was going to address it, but right there and then, something dropped.
Wow.
So I said it, and I said, and then I repeated it, and then I repeated it before I went back and my argument. When I was done, I sat down, I touched. I was like, "Oh, my brother, very well done." Now the senior got up and started trying to undo the work I had done. The judge was like, "He has had every argument."
Wow.
And then right there and then he said, "Oh, he has given his ruling. We have won, but we should come back in 21 days for the reasons."
Wow.
So when we went back in,
after 21 days,
Ace had come back, so he went with me, and then that's when the judge made that comment.
Rising advocate, how did you feel?
Boy, my head was swimming.
As it should be.
Hi.
Wow.
It was a good feeling.
It was
indeed.
An
extremely good feeling.
Wow. So how do you see the evolution of Ghana's legal system? I mean, in the next decade, especially with the rise of technology and AI, artificial intelligence. I've had people come in.
Yes, I'm very excited about the future of Ghana's legal market, I'll say, because first of all, there are a lot of young lawyers, and can I just take this opportunity to congratulate those who are getting called to the bar tomorrow?
That's right.
And most of these young lawyers remind me of myself when I was younger. Very innovative, very smart, very thinking critically, and they're very business minded.
Oh, the lawyers of today are business minded. Love that.
Yes, they're entrepreneurial, very
That's
business minded. And so it's good, because what it means is that our economy is growing,
right?
And we need a lot of lawyers that understand business, that appreciate commercial law, that also appreciate tech, where the world is moving.
Correct.
To. Most of them are using the tech that we have now, artificial intelligence and so on and so forth. There's currently a legal tech conference that happens in Accra, a law tech conference every year.
So you believe that we are up to speed in terms of technology and AI? Ghana can compete.
Oh, there's more that needs to be done.
Okay.
There's no more that needs to be done. But the good thing is that there's the hunger for it. And once there's a hunger for it, it can be filled.
Correct.
And so that's why I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful about that.
Right. Well, we'll be going for a break shortly, but before that, I have a question coming in, and it's from Frank. Frank says that, great interview, Bola Ray, but I want to ask Kow. He's lived an interesting life in public service and politics. Is he considering to rise to the level of his boss, Akufo-Addo?
Well, if God decides that it should be the case, I have no option. But at this particular moment, it's not one of my considerations.
Right. And Mary says that, Bola Ray, I want to find out from Kow, can we truly depoliticize galamsey with what he's saying? Does he believe in that yes, it can happen? And if he's president now, what would he do differently with the fight?
If I was president now, I'd call Nana Akufo-Addo and ask him, what did you do?
Oh, but you're a man of your own. If you're a president now, listen, you don't know what you were there with the president. You know what.
There's certain.
Do you have to call Nanado?
There's certain things that require a national consensus. If you remember, when Akufo-Addo came into office, he called all the former presidents and had a meeting with them because he wanted to take certain steps. One of them being the local government, elections matter. But he wanted to take certain steps, and he wanted their views because they had been in office before. They had done certain things to get to certain points, and for him to continue, he probably would have wanted to understand, and that was just him and those people. I mean, those leaders,
okay,
those former presidents,
right?
And he wanted to understand, maybe what they thought about it, where they went wrong, what kind of advice they would give to them. When government he saw President Kufuor a number of times. He also saw President Rawlings a number of times. So you consult, and that helps you, because then you realize that you're not. The seat you're sitting in is not for you alone. It's not for just your political party. It's for the entire nation. And if these people have,
so you believe that we need to be doing a lot more of that. You believe that President Mahama should occasionally invite President Nana Akufo-Addo in, former president, and engage President Kufuor and all of that.
Yes, I think so. I mean, it doesn't have to be for the media to know, but because for instance, when he visits Kufuor and they have long conversations, the media doesn't know about it.
Correct.
So you can do that, privately, and doesn't what do you lose? You don't lose.
Can
anything.
another party also invite the other and say, look, yes, NDC is in power. It would be fair and nice to have the MPP come over periodically and say, let's talk. I mean,
why not
think about the nation?
Absolutely, on national issues,
correct.
National issues where we want to have consensus and move the country forward.
I mean, we say, well, we have our plan. That's why we had our manifesto. This is what we want
absolutely.
to do.
But there are certain things, like for instance, you mentioned galamsey.
Right.
How do we depoliticize it? That's one way of depoliticizing
build a consensus
it. Yes. So if around the table, all of us come together and say that this is where we want to go with this particular thing. We don't care whether it's NDC, we don't care whether it's MPP. This is how we want to treat it.
Okay.
When MPP comes, we'll follow this particular thing. When NDC comes, we'll follow this particular plan. That is one way. I mean, bringing the civil society and co on board is good, because they will hold your feet to the fire. But the people that would actually work and carry out the implementation or enforcement and so on and so forth are those that you really need to engage and bring on board, so they have a political buy-in at that level to be able to move forward.
Okay, we're going for a break now, but before that, yes, when we come back, we'll get to meet you and know all the fun things about you as well. We'll get into that. But you've lectured at the Ghana School of Law, Zenith University College. What inspired you, Kow, to teach? Despite your busy schedule, I mean, you were doing that. You had the presidency, you were still a lecturer.
Teaching has been in my family for years. My grandfather was a teacher, a principal. Both grandfathers, actually.
Okay.
Both my parents are professors. So I think it's something that probably came naturally.
Right.
But when I came back to Ghana, I was teaching on the New York bar for the New York Bar Company and Web Legal Education in London. So when I came to Ghana, I was doing my own private teaching, and then got into Zenith, and then when I got to the presidency, I had to do a year and a half at the law school on advocacy and ethics. But yeah.
So those who are being called to the bar tomorrow before the break, what is your message for them?
I'll give them the same message that I got when I was called to the bar in 2008 in England, which is that it takes you a long time and a lot of hard work to get to the point that you are. But 1 second or minute of indiscretion will make you lose all of that. So, take your integrity very seriously.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Words on marble. We're going for a break. When we return, yes, we're here on Star Chat. We'll be right back. We're here, and yes, it is Star Chat. Hanging out with Kow Abaka Essuman, legal counsel to former president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. So we'll be activating the phone lines shortly. Many will want to talk to you. A lot of them will want to ask you questions. But yes, before I come back to you, something exciting is loading. The Starr Corporate Walk is happening with Starr 103.5 FM. So get ready to join the corporate world for a day of fitness, networking, stress relief, and team bonding. And stay tuned and be ready to walk with us. For partnership, you can call 0244 223 449. That's 0244 223 449. It's the Starr Corporate Walk. Fitness, networking, and corporate bonding at its best. Work is proudly brought to you by Starr 103.5 FM and supported by GH1 TV and Kasapa 102.5 FM. So welcome back, all. And now we'll get to meet you. You were raised in an academic home surrounded by intellect and discipline. What was it really like growing up, with the son of a professor? And, my mom is also a professor. Dad is a professor, so we have Professor Sally Essuman and Professor Attu Essuman. How was it like growing up? Where were you born, though?
I was born in Accra, Kolebu to be precise.
You were real Gawa.
Dabi.
Few. Now, Ketri there.
Ketri.
So you're born in Kolebu.
Yes.
All right. You schooled here in Accra for primary education.
Yes. So I started my I started from Alpha Beta.
Alpha Betas. Oh,
I went. That was like I was the first student to Alpha Beta actually. When it was in the woman's house, Auntie Florence's house.
Okay.
And then from there, went to Morning Star, Nursery 1 to Nursery 2 to JSS 3. Finished Morning Star and then went to Kumasi Prempeh College.
Prempeh College.
Yes.
So tell us, back then Morning Star. So that's where it still is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Right. How was it like back at Morning Star?
It was. I don't know how to answer that question, but
no, but you tell us. You've not visited. You've not gone back to the speech and prize giving.
I have.
Kow Essuman, you should have done something for Morning Star. Maybe by now they put up.
I have.
Really support a speech and prize giving day.
I have actually. In 2017 or so, I was the speaker at the speech and prize.
Oh, fantastic! Good one. Alpha Beta.
I've
not done well with that.
I haven't done well with that.
Okay, so they are listening to you. I know they'll write to Kow Essuman. yes. That's an old student, and you need to come back home.
Pioneering student.
Indeed. Let's talk about life at Prempeh College. Yes. How was it like? Which house were you in?
So that's
Amamfo.
The seniors.
Okay, right.
The best school in Ghana.
Okay, no,
debatable.
No, yes. You know.
Prempeh was fun.
Okay.
My father went to Prempeh. And my uncle went to Prempeh, and going to Prempeh, what attracted me to Prempeh was the National Science and Maths quiz, the Brilliant Science.
Oh, okay.
So in '94, when they won, I was like, hey, what school is this that they're so smart? The guys know science from the top of their head like that.
So you're not thought about that? I mean, Prempeh wasn't in there.
No,
but your father went there, though.
But I was in primary. Yeah, I was in primary school at the time. So when I saw that, I was like, these guys are very brilliant.
Wow.
And so when I went to Prempeh College, we were part of the guinea pigs, the 2.5 year, squad, and it was very interesting. I think Prempeh shaped my life about how to relate to people, because it's in the middle of the country, and you have everybody from everywhere coming into Prempeh College. People from the north, people from the Bono areas, people, villagers, and this is a city boy coming from Morning Star and elite school, and everything. And then you have to share a dormitory with people, you have to, your provision. That's my father used to work for Nestle. And so you come, your chop box is filled with provisions, right. And then people open their chop box and there's nothing in it.
Wow.
And so you learn to share, you learn to give people, you learn to be around, people who didn't have. And it was, and today some of my very closest friends are from Prempeh College.
Prempeh College.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
Your motto again is
Subai
Yes, that's right. Great school indeed. So it was the maths and science quiz that pulled you to get to Prempeh College.
Yes, that put them on my radar.
Okay. But you didn't do science, though.
No, I didn't. My uncle, my dad's sister's husband was assistant headmaster and a housemaster at Prempeh. So one of the vacations in Kumasi, we actually stayed on campus.
Right. When
we were in primary school, we stayed on campus, Prempeh College. So I knew my way around Prempeh. So it was, when the time came for me to actually, go to school, it was an easy choice.
Been back lately?
But yes, actually, last year.
Oh, last year you were there.
Last year.
Okay.
Yes.
And your year group doing something for this. One thing we want to encourage this year on Star Chat is that we'll ask people to go back to their schools, their secondary schools, and do something.
Oh yes, we do. My year group does. I mean, personally, I also do.
Okay.
Yes, for the school and the science and maths.
Fantastic.
And all of that. Yeah.
Did you ever feel pressure to live up to your family's reputation? I mean, or did it rather inspire you to say, look, I want to chart my own path?
I guess it inspired me to chart my own path instead, because both parents are professors in education, the education field. Okay. My dad was an accountant before he became an educationist. My mom has just been an educationist. She was a biochemist and then became a teacher and then became a professor.
Okay.
After her PhD. But we also, growing up, we saw them, achieving it. So when I was born and, going to school and all of that, they only had like first degrees.
Okay.
So from JSS, we actually saw them actually
going back to school.
My father had this, principle that, my mother should get a master's and a PhD before he even started.
Really?
Yes.
I like him. So he
Because
wasn't threatened. He wasn't that kind of man that he felt.
He felt that if my mom was in a better position, then we were also better off.
Wow, great man.
So at the time I was doing my undergrad in Westminster, my mom was in Nottingham doing her PhD. So sometimes I used to go up to Nottingham. I had some cousins there. We used to party a lot.
I know we talk about the party side of you and all of that. But your earliest memories, that made you realize that, look, you were destined for the law. At what age did you realize? Was it at Prempeh College?
No.
No?
No. After we were experimental 2.5 years.
Okay.
After that, at that time, I think we had to wait 1 year before going to university.
Mm-hmm.
My dad didn't want me to waste my time to do that, so I applied to Holborn College. So there are 2 courses that I could do. I could do either a business, course, or I could do law.
Okay.
I had no inclination towards law, but I liked reading, and I had done government, and I got an A in government.
Okay.
So I was like, why don't I just go and do law?
Oh.
Because if I wanted to do business, I would have chosen business at Prempeh College, but I never did. So let me just go and do the law. And I did very well in the law. I was the best student.
Certainly no regrets. At Holborn College, you were the best student.
Yes. I got the prize. So I decided that, I'll just continue and do the law.
Wow. Sharp mind. Then that took you to New York?
Yes, so that took me to Westminster. After Westminster, I went to BPP Law School. After BPP, I was called to the Bar of England and Wales by the Honourable Society of Lincolnton.
Mm-hmm.
That's President Akufo's aim.
Yes.
And then from there, I went to Cornell, New York. Did my master's.
Major.
And then after that, I took the New York bar exam, and then came back to London, worked for about a year, and then came back to Ghana. When I came to Ghana, I actually bought a return ticket
to go back to London.
To go back to London.
Wow.
And so when I came, I joined Raindorf Chambers, and I was working with them as a foreign associate, and I, with Fui Chikata and Ekwahi from Benjamin and Co. And then I realized that, I'm not going back. So I called my cousin in London. I said, Mommy, please ship my things there. I'm not coming back.
Wow.
So that was it.
You loved it here in Ghana.
I stayed here because I realized that there was a lot that was happening in the commercial, the corporate and commercial, space. And, if I wanted to participate in that, I wanted to build a career in that, then I had to stay and learn.
That's right.
And not, take it for granted.
And so certainly no regrets at all. You don't miss England, you don't miss New York and saying that, well, I wish I'd gone back.
I remember it is, so I used to talk to Ace before I came down, and he used to tell me that, just come down and take the Ghana bar, and then you can do whatever you want to. So I came and I didn't go back.
You didn't go back?
And now when I go back, it's for holidays.
You often speak of faith and all. Was there a defining moment that deepened your relationship with God?
Yes. So I was baptized in church. We did confirmation at Prempeh and everything. But there was a defining moment in 2015. So I went to the hospital. I used to get these crazy headaches. I never really understood what it was. So I went to the hospital, and the doctor, and after she did a few tests, she was like, Kow, I just read the writings on the wall. So I tried to read, with my left eye, and it was perfect vision. I tried with my right eye, then I was like, I couldn't see a few of them. And then she said, so I made an excuse that I had covered my, right eye to read with the left, so obviously it's blurred. And then she said, no, try again. Waited for a few minutes. Then she said, go to the opticians. Went to opticians. They gave me some glasses. Came back that same day. She was like, no. Go and see an ophthalmologist. So I went to see the ophthalmologist at SNET. Then I came back to her. She said, you've got some condition at the back of your eye, and so on and so forth. Long story short, it ended up with me getting some autoimmune problem, and I had to be taking all kinds of medications, about 18 of tablets a day.
18 tablets a day?
Bro.
You've been through it.
So at one point, like one tablet is correcting this, another tablet is correcting that. At one point, I was like, God, what is all this wahala? Like, what is this?
You're tired.
Yeah. And at that time, my wife, now, at that time we're friends and everything.
Okay.
She was like, no, you have to pray. Let me take you to these. She used to go to these fellowships or whatever. I used to do them, but I stopped. So we started praying a lot. I started praying, seeking God's face, and then God started revealing things to me in the Word and whatever.
So you believe that the sickness was spiritual or something, or what?
Well,
you believe in that, right?
At one point in time, so
Wow.
I had to be taking the medication. I had to go on vacation in Cape Town, and I was like, bro, I can't be chilling in Cape Town and taking medication. So I left the medication in Ghana and I went to chill in Cape Town. When I came back, the doctor was like, okay, Kow, where have you been? I haven't seen. So the specialist messaged my doctor saying, I haven't seen Kow for like 2 months. Where is he? So my doctor called me. I said, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Cape Town was for like about 2 weeks. Around the new year, it's fun. So I came back and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to pray a bit more. So I prayed, and then I just stopped taking the medication.
Just like that.
And my doctor was upset. She was like, how can you do that? Don't you know you died? And I said, okay. Ace also started talking to me that, Kow, you're one of the most reasonable men I know. Don't even do this. Wow. I said, okay, I'll take the pressure medication, but I'm not going to take this one.
But that's autoimmune. This is that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's
I went.
crazy.
I went and checked, and it was gone.
It was gone.
The doctors to this date. So every year I screen for it, and it never showed up again. Even this year I screened for it, it hasn't showed up again.
There is God.
So at that point I realized that God. So God showed me a lot of things. He used me to heal a friend.
Oh, really? So you have all that in you as
the
well.
Holy Spirit.
Oh no, but you can lay hands and people will be healed, or what?
No, I think God wanted to show
you
a lesson.
Okay.
That indeed He exists.
Wow.
And so
your friend was healed.
I was shocked myself. When I go home around midnight. I told my mom. She was like, "Oh wow, thank you, Jesus."
Are you going to get into ministry at some point? Have you felt the edge?
Oh, I have. I mean, we're all ministers of of God. We're all lay preachers.
Yeah.
I'm Methodist, so that's what
we do.
Lay
preacher, and I see you at Afro Nation, and we do.
It's all part of the winning service. Yes, absolutely.
We'll come back to that, don't worry. Yes.
Wow. Yes.
So it's gone from 2015.
Yeah. That's
a miracle.
It was, and since then, that's why I said, using me to heal my friend who couldn't walk.
Oh, so that the friend couldn't walk.
Yes, he had a serious situation with his leg, and he was due for surgery on Tuesday. I went to his house on Saturday. We spent the entire
Before
time
we go, you pray for us on galamsey. You have to. This is interesting, but we'll talk also about suits and titles and all of that. Who is Kow Abaka Essuman? When it's just Kow, away, from the spotlight, behind the suits and the titles and everything. Who are you?
Well, I'm a young man. I like to have a lot of fun.
That's right.
Because life. I had a colleague. Well, I can't say this on radio though.
No. Feel free. Don't mention it.
We always used to joke about how short life is.
Life is for the living.
Yes, and so we have to enjoy every moment that we can.
So for you live life by the day. I mean, that's it. So
it's a gift.
Life is a gift.
You have to enjoy it.
It's a present, so you have to live in the present.
You have to enjoy it. Yes, absolutely.
So no regrets if tomorrow you're gone. You feel that you've lived it.
You've done what you needed to do.
You're not afraid of death?
To die is gain. Someone said something the other day, I think I was listening to it, that we're all working towards death. That's what we're living towards death. That is the whole existence.
Wow.
I mean, I don't believe the entire thing though, because there's more to existence than that. But it's something that every human being will get. The Lord will call you, whether you just have to. I mean, you just hope that He will call you at a time that He wants to call you, and not something that's sudden.
So you've been married for how many years? I know you were married to Lady Anne Essuman, who's also a lawyer, great woman. Yes. How did you meet Lady Anne?
We were married for, I think, 8.
Oh, 8 years.
8 years and some months. Yes,
Okay.
yes. We met at Bentiencho.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Remember how you toasted her? What do you saw? Was it love at first sight? Was it?
Oh,
You knew that this was the woman I'm going to marry?
not at that time.
Not at that time.
Not at that
You're
time.
just trying your
Because
luck, see if you go beer.
No, because I had, I was dating other people, women.
Hey, other people.
And
Charlie.
she used to give me tips,
Oh, to roll with the other ladies.
Yes,
So
and
she knew the other ladies in your life,
Yes.
and she was giving you the tips.
She was giving me tips like, oh no, you
have to do this way.
do this,
Meanwhile, then she now won the thing.
If I say that, she go and.
Whoa.
But the bottom line is that we're friends.
That's right.
And it became very obvious when we're spending a lot of time.
And that's the best way to go. Your
Yeah.
wife or your husband should be your friend. Your
Yeah.
partner should be your friend.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So the woman who was giving you tips to date other women now came into the picture. What did you tell her? At what point did you realize that, look, lady, and I think that, we gel and everything, you'll be my partner for life. And that's what I want it.
You won't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we used to go to these all nights. And at that time we weren't dating, but, I kind of liked it at that time.
Right.
And we went to this one all night. And when we were praying, one of the young men, was ministering and then walked up to me, and then because Lady Ann was standing next to me, and then he asked me who is the lady, but I knew the boys in the all night were all spying here, so I said that's my wife.
Oh, you said that. You lied at church.
I didn't lie because she is my wife.
That's my wife.
And
Wow.
and
How did she take it?
she was shocked, like, what? And all the guys, I thought we were all praying. All was like, hey! But and I hadn't asked her out. I hadn't said anything. So she was shocked. She was like, so afterwards she was like, but what was that about?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, just felt like the right thing to say at that particular point in time. And so
how is marriage like? You've been married for 8 years and all of that. For you, partnership and patience and all of that. What has that one thing that marriage has taught you?
Patience.
Marriage has taught you patience.
Yes, I'm already a patient person, so if marriage has taught me patience, then
wow.
Marriage is not easy. It's not all rosy.
Certainly.
The ups and downs, the very difficult moments, but there are also fun moments.
Correct.
And I think what is important is that if we let the fun moments exceed the difficult moments or the challenging times, you're two people who have come together. You will not agree on a lot of things, and of course we don't agree because we're also lawyers. And we take entrenched positions.
It'll be an interesting home.
But we try as much as possible not to let our legal training interfere in what we do.
But with all your busy schedule and everything, do you make time for the family, or you wish that you had had more time on your hands to do the things that you want to do as a family man, as a father, most especially? Were you getting them that time when you were in government for that 8 years?
I tried as much as possible.
Oh, so you were there for...
So we're doing family vacations.
Okay.
Traveling together. During the summer. When we had an opportunity for a long weekend.
Were you in for dinner regularly? Were you doing that? Not with the family?
That I couldn't. In the last last few months when I became secretary, I even missed my own birthday.
You missed your birthday? How come? You forgot you were working for the nation?
Because I as in, like, they had gotten a cake and everything for me at home, but I couldn't go home.
You missed. Okay, I attended. Yes. Wow.
Because we had so much to do in the office, and meetings upon meetings, and it was just a month to the election.
Wow.
So you can imagine. It was,
the missus wasn't happy, I know.
Oh, she wasn't. The children weren't happy. But we cut the cake in the next morning. Wow. before they went to school.
How has fatherhood changed, your perspective on leadership and purpose?
His fatherhood, I think, it's one of the greatest teaching experiences that anyone can get. It teaches you about God and how we relate to them, to Him. Because you see your kids doing things that you would do to God, and you want to strike them, but then you have to love them at the same time. You scold them, and then later on you're like, you know what, I'm sorry I did that, or I love you, and so on and so forth. It's taught me a lot about leadership. It also taught me that you've got to listen, because I have 2 kids, Irish. They're kind of like what they call Irish twins.
Okay, so
they're
just
close to each other,
yeah.
and they can fight, and one person will come, Daddy, this one said this, Daddy, this one said this. You have to listen and not be quick to take a decision.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's been great.
Talking about children and all of that, I mean, do they understand what you do when you're in government, busy schedules? How do you explain to them, young as they are?
Oh, they do.
They do.
They do.
In the simplest way.
Oh, they do. And when we lost the election, it's like, Daddy, you're no longer going to be in this office.
How did you take that day and all of that? And when you saw that, well, you've lost it.
I mean, either way, I would have been out of office.
That's
anyway.
right.
Because my time, President Akufo-Addo would have been done, so we would have been out.
Okay.
So we expected it. I mean, I expected it.
The day after, when you realized that you had lost the elections, what was the discussion with the president? I mean, in the fun way and all of that. That is not confidential. That you can discuss. How did you call him? Did he call you the next day in the office?
I was with him, actually.
Oh, you were with him on the. Okay.
I was with him when the results were coming out.
Okay.
And
how was his demeanor?
By midnight, when we realized the results were disappointing. Because we had reports that told a different story. And that is politics, but he has a lot of experience in politics, and so you take the highs, you take the lows, and then you do what you have to do to come back.
Right. All right. So now moving on to the messages, but we're activating the phone lines now. People can join us to talk to you. 055-288-0216. That's 055-288-0216 or 053-518-3317. Nana Hesi Ojui says, Boles, Kow Essuman is a DC boy. Is it true? You lived in Dansoman?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
DC boy. I grew up in Dansoman.
Haven't lived in the hood since. Ask him when would he want to contest the seat as a member of parliament for Ablikuma West? That's from Nana Hesi.
It's in the thought process.
Oh, it's in the thought process.
Yes.
Kow Essuman for Ablikuma West.
You cause trouble.
Oh no, you declared it, so it's in the thought process.
It's in the thought process.
Yes. Okay, and we have another one from Selassie in Hachi. We'll go to that, but then okay. Hello. Good evening, sir. What's your name?
My name is Ali.
Ali. Okay, and you're calling from? Okay, go ahead. Kow Essuman is here.
Yeah, and I'll take one on the issue about the president inviting the other opponents for advice.
Okay.
So you see, normally this is on the face of it might look good, but beneath there is a hidden intention. It's like having Ghana and IMF. You could be in a very serious situation as a country. You go to IMF, they pretend to give you some advice to strategize and then bring back your economy back to life. But at the end of the day, they are doing that to make sure that you keep depending on them.
So you believe that it's not a good path to chat? You believe that inviting ex-presidents to have that meeting, you think that is not a way to go?
Not at all. No, that is just for the cameras.
It's for the optics. Okay, interesting. Okay, we'll respond to that. But moving on to the messages, Norbert Agbememu says that Kow is a brilliant young man. Today, listening to him on the show is giving me a different perspective about him. His journey is truly inspiring. Okay, Norbert sent in that one. Thank you very much. And Mark Oben Boatin says, Boles, that's my counsel, Kow Essuman, from MOB, Ghana for Life. Oh, you support us, no?
Yep.
For life. Not London. So Mark Oben Boatin sends his greetings, and he says that is great and good to know. So you can also join us. We're moving on to the message. So also, Selassie wants to know, if you weren't a lawyer, what do you think you'll be doing today?
That's a very, very, very interesting question. So, like I said, I was always not, law was not my first profession.
Okay.
I didn't choose it. When we were younger, I wanted to be a pilot, and then my my mother's brother who was a pilot. We've had pilots in our family. There was a plane crash. If you remember, in the early 90s, there was a Ghanaian plane that got shot down by, our neighbors, and he was flying it, and he died with my dream.
Oh, okay. So that ended that dream.
That ended that dream.
Okay.
And then I used to admire, I still do actually, Kwame Pini.
The Economist.
The Economist.
Okay.
So I wanted to be an economist. That was the reason why I chose general arts at Prempeh College.
Right.
To do government and
Kwame
economics.
Pini influenced you.
Yes, I didn't know him. I never met him, and but I thought he was so brilliant. And I, being an economist just sounded so exciting. So I just thought that I wanted to be like him.
All right, we'll be coming to the mystery questions, and we have some calls coming in through as well. But before that, you are known to be disciplined. I mean, I spoke to people before this interview, and they said, "Oh, he's calm under pressure." Were you always this composed, or did you experience, or did the experience actually shape this demeanor?
I think it's an attribute that I picked from my mother. She's calm under pressure, and she's generally a calm and patient person. And I think that it's always been part of my attribute. And also over the years, I've always seen that everything always comes together. So you might fret, you might get worried, you might get concerned, or you might be having panics or whatever. But at the end of the day, it'll happen.
It will happen.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it will happen. Though it might tarry. It will surely come to pass. All right. So we're going for our mystery questions. But this one says, how do you unwind after a long day? What do you do?
So I love video games.
Oh, okay.
I play FC, FIFA. What it used to be called FIFA.
FIFA, okay.
And I listen to music. I love music.
Who's okay? So we'll come to your best musician from Ghana, though. Yeah. But what genre do you? Do you like hip hop?
I like hip hop. I grew up on hip hop.
Who's your biggest hip hop influence?
DMX.
So it's not Tupac. It's not Biggie. It's not.
Oh, I grew up listening to them, but it was
DMX.
DMX was
that's hardcore to a fault.
Absolutely.
Nana your man
Click. Yeah, my man Click. Yes,
he says hi to you, and also from Robert Coleman says hi. Jerry Ajololo says Kow Essuman is one of the few people I know who balance power and influence with modesty, and the most splendid man I know in a great way. Super proud of you, and that's from Jerry Ajololo to you. Wow.
Thank you, Jerry.
In Ghana, who will be your best musician?
Best musician.
Yes. In Ghana will be who?
This is difficult.
Oh, it shouldn't be difficult for you. You jump to great music from Ghana.
One of the people that whose music I've loved over the years is Sarkodie.
Sarkodie.
Yes.
King Sark. You couldn't make it to his show in Kumasi.
No. In fact, I've never made it to any of his shows, but I love him. From the time that he started. I remember at that time I was in the US with one of my cousins.
Okay.
And it was around the same time that Asem, Asem had also come. Asem too was very good. My cousin loved Asem.
Okay.
But she and I used to argue, and I was like, what, Sarkodie is a better musician.
Okay.
And I'm glad to see him even now, like many years later, he's still, making
relevant
music.
In the space. Okay.
Yeah, making great music.
Right.
I love the Brafo too. From my childhood, and of course the grandpapa
Reggie Rockstone,
absolutely,
hands down.
Aye.
Okay. So Enoch says that Echo is a good man. I remember when he was in office, I used to run to him for accreditations anytime I have something to do with the presidency, and he's a great guy. So that is from Enoch going out to you, and he's here with us at AIB.
Right.
So he says hi to you, and Paul from Telecel also says hi to you. So we'll play you. Is it a Sack, a Reggie song, or DMX? Which one will you go for?
What are 3.5?
Human rolls, That's how Rough Riders roll. Sticker came on this show and he says he went to Opokuwari. He says Prempe had a song, I been quiet or something.
Don't mind those Opoku boys. They are senior brothers. They always want to,
Oh really? So in Kumasi, you're saying that Prempe is the best. Hands down,
Green shirts, no. Moja.
Subai. Wow. It's not time for our mystery question call. So please pick one and read it out for us, and then we'll move on to the next. So what do we have in there, call?
Oh.
Right. What's in there?
I want to jump this question.
Oh, wow. You can't jump, but you read it and attempt it for us.
He said, who are your 3 worst performing ministers under this government?
Yes. Do you have any?
I like to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
I think that
it's early days yet.
It's early days.
Okay.
Well, not so early days.
Okay.
But you see, you want to give people at least the first year, then you can assess them.
Okay. So best ministers then, if you can do the West.
No, I'd say the same about that.
Same about that.
So we give them a year.
Okay.
And then you appraise them.
Fair.
After a year you can appraise them, but now
but we are approaching a year, 2 months.
It will be very unfair.
Okay,
it will be very unfair.
No problem. You plead the it's fine. So we'll go on to the next question. What a way to just it's fine. Right. And the question is, among
the 5 personalities running to be the NPP flag bearer, who deserves the position and why?
Correct. Who and why? From where you sit, yes.
NPP is blessed. The candidates that we have, if you look at them, they're all accomplished people.
Correct.
You look at Dr. Bawumia, excellent economist. I have, worked with him. His digitalization agenda. In fact, if Bawumia had been president of Ghana right now, if he had won the election, I think that Ghana would really have been good for it, because his background and his experience is exactly what the country needs at this particular moment in time. You look at the other candidates, Kennedy Japong, very accomplished businessman. I listened to Kennedy Japong when I was in school in London. I think when he was 40 years old, he bought himself a Rolls Royce or something.
Right.
And he did an interview, and I said to myself, hey, this guy, he's a very serious, guy. Like, to buy a Rolls Royce at that time, at age 40, it was a big deal. And and then you look at Brian, who, very accomplished guy, and he's very determined. Even at his age, with all his busy schedule, still went ahead and got a PhD. And then look at Edichum. Edichum's story is just brilliant. Rising from where he was to the US. I think he was recently given an award, and being a minister in the government, and then Kwabena J. Japong.
Right.
These are like really, really good candidates. So
who will stand tall for you?
They're all.
You can't stick your neck out. You've worked with some of them. You worked with Dr. Bawumia. All of them. Right.
All of them. Which is why I'm saying they're all very, very competent.
Yeah, but if push comes to shove and you're to choose, I mean, January 31 is just around the corner. Who will it be?
That's when the push will come to shove.